Ladies and gentlemen, my name of course is System Z, and welcome back to the Minecraft Let's Play. In the last episode, we worked on this magnificent island, which I think is just coming along so nicely, especially here underwater, as you guys can see. So if you didn't know, this is my survival island, literally, and we're basically working on a survival base here, so that way, once we start building, we can store all of our resources on this island, and it should be pretty cool. But ultimately, underwater has been the more difficult part, because as you can see, we're trying to slope the land down all the way to the bottom of the sea, and I've got quite the distance to go. But I do have to say it is getting a lot easier, because what I've been doing is going from sand to sandstone, almost as if the sand is getting pressed down, which makes sense. Underwater, you know, it's going to be a little bit heavier, and typically, from what I imagine, it would become a little bit more dense. But ultimately, guys, today, we are finally going to start working on some structures. I think this is the first episode where we've actually done some building, and we're going to be building the observatory, which you guys helped me, you know, figure out the name for, and that it's not a microscope, it's a telescope. So yeah, the plan is that we're going to build an observatory with a telescope. This is what I'd like to call part one, though, because I really need your feedback going forward. But I want the beacon here to be the center, and I'm going to use a template of these blocks, okay? So we're going to use white concrete and gray concrete, as well as gray concrete powder. Now, I've been really having trouble coming up with the design for this, because it's just an odd thing to build. You don't really see it much in Minecraft. So please let me know what color palette you would like to see, and even submit your own ideas and versions of the same build. And if I can incorporate them, I will definitely let everyone know it was your design, because I really need help with this. But yeah, guys, I think it's time we go ahead and get started with this project. So let me set up camp with our bed and everything, and I will see you guys in just a moment. Alright guys, so now we can go ahead and get started. I just need to get a little bit of stone, not too much though, just basically a foundation block. And I just wanted to say, in today's video, you're going to learn how to build spheres, which is very difficult in my opinion. I'm not going to really lay it all out like a tutorial, but I'll at least give some pointers. I'm not really too great at them, but I think I can definitely do them. If you don't know, spheres are very much a part of the organic side of building in Minecraft, which can be very difficult. One of my favorite organic builders is Pearlescent Moon, who is on the Evolution server, as you guys know. Very talented builder, and really recommend you check her out. But basically, organic building is whenever you're building, you know, in a non-traditional way. I feel like that's kind of my own definition, but I feel like whenever you're using, you know, circular edges on things in Minecraft that would normally be cubic, it kind of comes off in an organic way, and spheres definitely fall in line with that. In a game that's all about squares, building circles and spheres can be very difficult. But basically what I did is I created a radius, and on the top of this observatory, obviously it's got a sphere out, but we'll get to the sphere stuff in a little bit. The first thing I need to do is lay out the circumference of this particular circle. So 13 blocks away is where we are going to start it. 1, 2, 3, 10, 11, 12, 13. So this is basically where we are going to be starting from the center point here on the edge. Now what I'm going to do is start laying out a predetermined layout for the circle. Now this is something you can do in a creative world. It makes it a lot easier to do that, and you can't really get it perfect on your first try. You just kind of got to play around with it. But I do know that you can also find different circles online that can help quite a bit. But basically what I've got here are 7 blocks in a row. Then we're going to go in by 1 and do 3, and then do 1 section of 2, 2 singular blocks, and then 2 more, 3, and then 7 once again. And that is basically what we're going to do all around, and that's going to give us nearly a perfect circle. Now, like I said, I just played around in creative mode to get this. It's pretty simple overall. It just takes a little bit of time to get right. But once you really start doing it a lot, you'll get it perfect almost every time. And that is basically the circle so far. As you can see, I've raised it up a little bit with concrete powder. We've got about a 3-block foundation with stone, and then 6 blocks with the powder, and basically that's just to raise it up. The plan is that we're going to do a pathway around it as well that's going to be raised up to the stone level at the top there. So now what we can actually start working on is the dome, but I just wanted to show you again what it looks like from the top. Now, it's not a perfect circle. It looks a little bit more like a square circle than anything. It's a little bit more, you know, flat on the edges than it should be, but honestly, it's perfect for what I'd like to do. But I'm up here basically about to get some concrete instead of concrete powder, even though I just realized I do have some in my shulker box because I did come prepared today, and I never usually do, so I automatically started doing this. But yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and do this since I've already started, and we're going to start working on the sphere now. I just realized there's going to be concrete just flowing into the ocean. This is not efficient in any way, shape, or form. What a mess I've made with this concrete. Oh well, at least we got most of it, and this should honestly be enough for what I'm trying to do. I don't think this is quite 64 blocks around, or it might possibly be actually now that I look at it. But what we need to do now is actually go grab wherever our shulker is. There it is. We just need to grab a couple of these white concrete powder blocks, and I'm going to go ahead and show you guys exactly how to do spheres. It's going to be very difficult to show firsthand, but hopefully it won't be too hard to get once I show you how to do one side. But the first thing we need to do is go around the entire edge with this. This is a separator, so that way we can divide this layer to the white layer. That way it actually contrasts a little bit better and a little bit more smoothly. Now, I should mention that we're going to add a lot more detail to this build that should bring it out a little bit more, because right now it looks very flat and very static, and ultimately I think that once you see the decorations, you'll probably be with it. But if you do think of a better color palette, please let me know in the comments, because I've been trying to do this for days now. It's just such an abstract build. But hopefully you guys will like what I've come up with. I think it should be pretty cool. Looks like we did need a little bit more concrete powder. It always helps to come prepared. So yeah. Anyways, guys, like I said, you're going to love the decorations that I do have for this. We're going to do a lot of stuff with crates and different leaves and all that kind of stuff. But while we're doing this, I just wanted to say, are you guys enjoying this series so far? Please let me know. I got to say, this is currently my favorite series. I love Minecraft Evolution with a passion, but it's just been really nice to have my own little world to play with, and it's very refreshing and very reminiscent of the old days as well. Alright guys, let's go ahead and start working on this sphere. So what I want to do is first explain how spheres kind of look from a distance. In Minecraft, you'll notice that with the sphere, it typically starts in the edge and just kind of works its way through. And I know that doesn't necessarily make sense now, but once you kind of look at it with a layered mentality, it makes sense. So starting with this side, I'm just going to place these concrete blocks basically all around, 3 blocks up. And we're basically going to make a half circle with these. So I'm going to go up 1 layer, but only in on the kind of middle blocks, and do the same here and stop here. So this is the first layer of our circle. As you can see, it's pretty much filled up all the concrete powder spots, and now we have the side face of our sphere. The next thing we would want to do is basically do the same thing here with a second layer going in, but this one's going to connect inwards with the blocks and basically do the exact same thing. There we go. And this one, on the other hand, will basically do the same thing, except what we're going to do is go up by, I believe, about, I think 4 blocks is how it's supposed to be. Go up by another 2 here maybe, and then bring it up again just like that. Now again, this could be wrong, so we can always go back and kind of play with it once we're done. But let me go ahead and take that down. I think this should be 4 blocks if I'm right. So 4 blocks. Now we can kind of see what it looks like. But it should look like 2 different layers kind of making up. That's messed up. Yeah, that was a blooper. I did it right the first time, let's just say that. I don't even think this is 100% right, but it's a good example of what I'm trying to accomplish. Basically, we have the 1 layer here that is a circular face, and then we have another plane of a circle there. And ultimately, that's all a sphere is made up of. It just goes in from the side on all 4 sides and meets up in the middle to create a whole bunch of faces that are basically just circles making up a sphere. That's how it is in this game anyways. Anything pixel related, you'll definitely see that. Let me see if I can't make a little bit more progress and hopefully show you exactly what I mean. You know, I've got to say, even though I know how to build these sphere things, it's still very difficult in survival mode. But yeah, I've basically done 2 sides, as you can see. Let me go a little bit further back. In fact, I'm going to land on this palm tree really quickly. There we go. As you can see, I've basically got 2 connecting faces now. Now, I didn't do this top layer all the way around. I just kind of wanted to show you exactly what I mean by layered. So as you can see, we've got 1 circle here, or at least a half circle. And then 1 layer in, we have another half circle. And then another half circle, and the cycle continues all the way until it's connected. Now, these corners are a little bit different, but it's pretty simple even with that. What I like to do after getting to the connected part is connecting them in the middle, creating the shape that's going to be the top, and then filling it out. It's a lot easier once you've done that. And basically to do that, it can be a little complicated, but once I can land up here, I'll show you kind of what I mean by connecting it together. It's very simple actually. You just want to follow the slope. So in this case, we might get this. Let's see, this is the center. We basically would follow this, so I know it's going to go up by one more block at the very least, so that way we have two doing just that. And then maybe we go in by one block, or at least bring it up even another, depending on the slope. In fact, let me see. Yeah, probably by one more, we do that, and then we go in by two. And then we're going to go in a little bit more with another layer up. Oh, not doing that. Do that, and then take that out. It's basically a repetitive process all the way around. And then once you get to a point that you're happy with, go ahead and bring it up for the final layer. And then you're going to create another circle. Who would have guessed? Right here on the top. But you're basically going to follow that slope for all the different sides. The key is to do them all at the same time. So once you've gotten to a certain part, with one side you move to the next. And then it'll all just kind of fall into place. Now, honestly, this isn't perfect, so I would need to work on this a little bit more, but you get the idea. You basically just want to plan out the slope, fill in the circle faces, and that's all going to come together to create a very nice looking sphere. But I'll tell you what, guys, I'm going to go ahead and get all of it finished, and we'll start working on the details. Progress has been made, guys, and oh man, has it turned out this is a lot harder than I thought it'd be in survival mode. There's just something about being able to fly around while you build a sphere that makes it so much easier, which I guess sounds pretty to be expected when you say it. But basically, you know, being able to fly around and see it as you build it is kind of nice. Whereas in survival, you have to take a few steps back every time you place a couple blocks. So you really see the errors, which definitely happen a lot more in survival. But ultimately, we do have the half sphere here, as you can see. I've also extended out the foundation to be kind of a pathway, as you can see, a larger circle, but ultimately still the same. I basically did the same thing. I just added another section of 3 in there to extend it out, basically making another circle just a little bit larger. Now what we need to do is add a little bit more color and texture in there. It's really still going to be gray, but this is going to be a little bit better once we add some stone bricks, which we basically just need to go get this shulker here that I completely forgot about. I didn't have to make all that stone because it turns out we already have some in this shulker box. I really need to get used to using this. So let's go ahead and bring it over to the island so I don't forget in the future. But now what we need to do is also get a crafting table. No, we don't. We can just do it right here. We're basically going to need to get some stone bricks here and just make a couple of pillars, mainly one here, I believe. Let me think. Yeah, that should be right. So we're going to do one on each edge. That's going to be the first thing. And then what we're going to do is one, I believe, right, this is a little bit more difficult. I think here. I think this is where we put the next one. And then we're going to put one right here in the center of the 3 different blocks, I believe. Let's see, no, or 2 blocks right there in the center of that. Basically the center of the corner, and then do the same thing on each side. So again, one here, and then one kind of tucked in right here. So that way we have, I believe, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks in between, 3, and then also another 5. So 5, 3, 5, 3, 5, 3. Something. I'm getting confused. And now that we have the pillars here, we basically want to do a design around the bottom that is very similar to some stuff that I've done in the past, especially on the Minecraft Evolution SMP server, which I've mentioned like 8 times this episode. I'm very sorry about that, guys, but ultimately it is a design that I have done so many times, but I love it. And basically what that is this kind of weird railing looking thing. I don't know really how to explain it, but it's pretty cool. Basically, I've been going the opposite direction, or at least the direction that it's going in the circle, towards kind of the next, you know, part, I guess, is where I've been going with the stairs, and doing it kind of like this. I've just been doing the stairs, and then we've been doing slabs on top. So you'll see it kind of in action as I do it there. And that's basically what it looks like. I don't really know how to explain it. I think it just looks very, very cool, and ultimately is something a little bit different, but I guess not to this channel because I've been doing it so many times. But I've gone ahead and done it all the way around, as you can see. The next thing we need to do is basically do the same thing, but we're going to add a layer on top. That way we actually have somewhat of a guardrail, even though I am going to need a little bit more slabs. So let me go ahead and make another crafting table because I'm a little too lazy to just go down there and then climb climb back up. There we go. So basically, we're just going to connect all of them up using this technique here. It should not be too difficult whatsoever. And I'm not going to do any interconnecting pieces like that. It's just going to be all along the very outside portion of this circle. So that is basically it for the foundation. What I'm also going to do is add a little bit of cobblestone to break it up a little bit, and also some staircases and all that kind of stuff leading up to it. Now we really got to kind of focus on the observatory itself, because as you can see, it's very bland at the moment. It's essentially just a sphere, or at least half of one. So the plan is that we're going to basically do a telescope pointing in one of these directions. I just don't really know where yet. So let me know in the comments what you think for that, but we're at least going to make the spot where it will go. I also need to do a couple of other things, like add some crates along the side and just a couple of other decorations, as well as an entrance. But what I do want to do first is go grab some quartz so we can start adding more decoration to the actual sphere itself, because like I said, I do have a couple of cool designs. But ultimately, guys, this is how it is looking. It's definitely coming along. Let me go ahead and make a little bit more progress, and we'll move on to the observatory. Progress, progress, progress. That is what we are working on today. And guys, it's almost where I want it. I think we almost have a completed observatory design, but a little bit of stuff is missing before we can really continue, like the actual observer. The telescope itself is missing, and like I said, I don't think we're going to build that today, because I don't really have a good enough design for that yet. But I did want to say, I think I might make a kelp farm off camera, and the reason why I want to do it off camera is because I know a lot of people have been doing it, and I don't really think it's worth sharing it again, because I know that you guys have at least seen it by now. Probably nothing crazy, something similar to a cactus farm and sugarcane farm like I've done over there, but I do know that we can actually use this as fuel. That would be very, very cool, especially for some of the projects that we're going to be working on here. I forgot a concrete piece. How long has that been missing? Good gosh. There we go. But yeah, guys, we are actually really far along here. Well, not too far. It hasn't really come too far since you last saw it, but basically, oh, a little bit of lag there. Let's try that again. Like I was saying, we did make a little bit more progress with the quartz windows there, kind of on the sides of the half circle. We've also put some white stained glass up at the top to kind of provide a little bit of light inside. Nice crate design there, and then of course some staircases. I do want to do some railing with anvils, but that's a little bit more expensive than what I can afford right now, so that'll have to wait. Just got to get a little bit of iron first, and of course also mixed in some cobblestone and andesite. I need to bring it down a little bit more though, because it just looks weird being on that one layer. But ultimately, this thing is coming along very nicely. Really, all we need to do now is come up with an entrance design, which I've kind of got one in mind. Shouldn't be too hard. Hopefully there are no mobs inside. I did light it up a little bit. Okay, looks like we're good. So yeah, like I said, I want to do kind of a doorway. We're going to do anvils here. It's going to be mainly black stained glass panes as our door, so it's not going to be that great against mobs. But what I'm going to do eventually is hook these up to some pistons so that they raise up during the night. That way no mobs can actually get through. That's kind of a security mechanism I like to do on a lot of my bases. But yeah, so what we need to do first is go ahead and place some quartz down. I know that I want to do that for the actual doorway. The only problem is we're going to have to hold this concrete, probably using something like that, or actually even a little bit higher up. So maybe we'll try that again. And then I want to kind of do something we've been doing with all the other areas, just kind of doing this stair half slab design. I think it looks pretty good overall, and it's definitely something unique, but we'll do that. I think it might be better to actually lower it now that I think about it, but we'll do that and then connect them up like this. Whoops, let me fix that. There we go. And probably do that same thing here. It looks a lot like a mantle, but ultimately I do like it. I don't hate it. Maybe we try and take these in instead of upside down. There we go. That's a little bit better. I think that's probably what I want out of the entrance. I think that should be fine. From there, we would just need some glass stained panes to put here, just kind of opening them up. I think that would look pretty good overall, but I do have to go smelt those and get them all set up. But until then, what we do need to start working on is the actual observatory area. This looks so cool. I cannot wait until we make this a base. Like I said, I'm going to do something futuristic with this, and of course utilize the space underneath the island for all my farms and stuff, but this is looking really cool. I love this inside. But yeah, we need to get this set up, and the way I'm going to do it, like I think I was saying it in this clip, but basically All observatories seem to have a railing that kind of hold the actual telescope in place and allow it to move. And even different Minecraft designs of observatories have it. So I'm going to be using this cyan concrete powder to add a little bit more color and kind of a cool effect that I'm 100% copying from the other designs I've seen because it works really, really well. And like I said, it seems to be pretty common overall, but we need to do something here to where we don't lose all of our concrete powder. But let me just try this again, I guess. Let me go ahead and turn these to concrete, and I will see you guys once I've done that. So I got a little bit carried away with today's video. I did not realize how far along we were with the time. So I went ahead and just did what I was talking about just so that we could kind of do a recap and go ahead and end off the episode. So let's go ahead and land on this tree. There we go. I love these trees because they're my observing platforms. But this is what I'm talking about. We basically got some cyan railing. It's not really a rail as much as it is just kind of a guard. I don't know. It's really just a detail at the end of the day. But I think it kind of adds a nice twist to this sphere that we didn't originally have. So I do like it. Now the color scheme is not 100% what I had in mind, but I do like it. I'm eager to see your opinions, though. I know that it's going to be very interesting to see what you guys have in mind. But if you have any better color schemes for this island, let me know. Send it to me on Twitter. If you have any designs of the telescope, send it to me on Twitter. I'd love to incorporate your suggestions as much as I can. I've really had some trouble coming up with this design, but overall, I'm happy with the way it looks. So we've got a little antenna there, which is definitely neat, I guess. Some quartz decorations there that kind of match that down there. It kind of ties it all together. Ultimately, I like it, but I think it could definitely use some work. But that is basically going to do it for today. That is part one of our telescope observer building. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I hope you did enjoy the episode. If you did, make sure to leave a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more building content, of course. And guys, that is going to do it for today. Thank you so much for watching. My name has been System Z. You guys have been awesome, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.